Hey guys, live on the Mullet here. I'm trying to get a few things set up so maybe I can answer some questions or we can have some chat. Let's see. There we go. Now we're doing our thing. Hope you guys are getting a decent shot. There we go. Now we're doing our thing. Well, we're going to make an evening run. We came out earlier today. Let me catch this door. We came out earlier today, and this Friday was kind of a hectic day for me. And when we got out, they weren't cutting. It looked like they were maybe doing a little bit of maintenance or doing some checks. So they weren't cutting on the Golden Ray, but they were actively out. And we did see one boat that was kind of close up to the beach. It's a busy time of the year here. Spring break, so we got a lot of visitors that are in on the island, and the closest we've seen one of the boom boats working out on the site to the beach. We got some video of that, and we're going to try to put a little something together a little bit later on, but we thought in the meantime we would put a little video together, and that we are heading out. I just left the marina, and we're in the Frederica River. We're about to go underneath the St.simons causeway here, and once we get on the other, it's just a short run over to the sound where the Golden Ray is. So we're going to get out and maybe be able to bring some of this stuff live to you guys so y'all can see it Friday afternoon. Weather's beginning to overcast a little bit. We're expecting, weatherman says we're going to have a little bit of weather the next day or so, maybe into Sunday. Tide is really up. Hope you guys are heading underneath the bridge right now. It's a fixed bridge, not a lot of room here underneath. The intercoastal waterway on St.simons, and there would have been a lift span bridge there. The center section would lift, and it allowed for all the traffic on the ICW to pass through. It was a big improvement when they put the new causeway in. They four-laned it, and as part of that process, they built a couple of fixed bridges that are raised, they're arched, and the ICW traffic was rerouted over underneath one of those bridges. It's a little different. Hope you guys can see it, but we're passing by the Morningstar Marina here on St.simons now. Try to pick it up just a little bit. But when we were out today looking at what we saw this morning, it did look like they made a lot of progress with the cutting. We kind of expected that because of the problems they ran into with the original attempt to cut that section. Just kind of a lot of material in there that's really giving them a fit. But we know that they went to a higher tensile chain, and hopefully that'll help them as they continue trying to progress through it. Just a slow process, but even slower when they're dealing with the kind of structure that they're dealing with now. Let's see anybody Hey, we're right at 4,100 subscribers now. Really close, within just a couple of folks of making 4,100. And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that we would have that kind of interest into this operation. It is, and I thank you guys for that interest. A lot of people out there just share the same interest that I do in the removal of this golden ray. The whole story has been unbelievable, and when you try to explain it to people of exactly what's going on here, unless you can see it, you really can't understand it. And that's what we tried to do and bring it out there. So Matt's on here, and he said he saw the boat at night, but he had not seen it. He didn't have an opportunity to see it during the day when he was visiting St. Simons. So yeah, Matt, when we get out here, we'll sure try to spin the camera around so you guys can take a look at it and see exactly what it looks like. Parker up on plane and get headed out. We'll close this door and quiet it down a little bit. There, a little better. I hope it's not too loud for you guys. But again, when we were out today, we did see a little more of the sheening. That's what the folks over at Unified Command call what we're seeing. We see sheen, but I also see some oil and some oil-like debris, some material in there that may have been coated with oil. It's kind of mixed in with that sheening. And that's been a concern. Not so bad now because we're at an outgoing tide, and the outgoing tide, I know it's bad, but the best scenario for us is an outgoing tide because that's pushing stuff out, and the material, those contaminants are not getting pushed back up into the estuary and into the marsh area. What's the whole story about the crash? The whole story basically boils down to instability of the ship. There were either some problems with the way the ship was loaded in the Port of Brunswick, or the ballast system. The complete investigation has not been released, but as the ship came out of the Port of Brunswick early on September the 8th, as they came down, you got to make a couple, there are a few turns that have to be made before you actually get into the channel headed out to open sea. And when they came down, had a local pilot on board, knew exactly what they were doing. When they came down and they made that turn to starboard, she just rolled over. The instability of the ship. Maybe it's too many cars, too many cars too high. Maybe it was the ballast system that wasn't in check. But when that happened, there was no bringing it back. It rolled over. The the weight that was in there just caused it to go right on over on the side. And the reason that the ship ended up where it was, the pilot immediately recognized the significance of what was going on and had the foresight to notify the Coast Guard and then also request permission to push the Golden Ray onto that south bar to leave the shipping channel open. And his actions are pretty well much what saved the Port of Brunswick, because if this thing had rolled over in the channel, it would have shut down the shipping. The shipping into the Port of Brunswick would have terminated from that point until it was removed. His actions pretty much saved the economic viability of the Port of Brunswick. All right, got some good sound. It's hard for me to read this small print when I'm running. We'll get out here, and once we get out here to the site, we want to slow down. We'll always, when we get out to the site, we want to slow the boat down. We don't want to wait. Our weight, always know your weight. And that should be a big term if you're a boater. Know your weight. You're responsible for that water that's disturbed off the back of your boat. Always know your weight. We certainly don't want to cause any problem in here for these guys that are out here working. Have a wake roll in where a guy's not expecting it, maybe getting on and off the boat, or divers working in the area. You never know what's going on at the site, so we always want to bring the boat down in the full displacement and just kind of move around at a few knots an hour and just take our time moving around. When we slow down, we see there are still some environmental boats that are on scene, and it looks like they are actively pulling boom out behind us here. And this is on the west side or inshore. We still have an incoming tide here. The tide has not changed out here yet, so that it is still being pushed out. We can see a little bit of that sheening out there as I look over. You can still see it, but they're still working out. It's almost 6:30 local here. These guys are still out here. Are they still pulling cars out of the sound with the claw? No, that system, I guess they've loaded up the barge and they've moved it out from inside the environmental barrier. We did not see it here today, and it's not in position out here now, so we're not seeing any of the claw. The claw activity has been stopped for right now. I'm assuming to unload the barge, or maybe they got all their debris up that they were after. Well, hey, Steve from Charlotte. Hey, appreciate you checking in with us, man. Thanks for watching. We hope that everybody that does watch it is kind of learning something from it. This is certainly a new experience for me, and I think for a lot of people that are interested in the area, interested in shipping. It's a huge operation that's taking place, and then when you see the scale of it, it's pretty impressive. And I'm sure if Steve's seen it, he can attest to that. I know it kind of looks big on video, but when you see it in person, it's impressive. Just the sheer size of it. Hey, thanks, Peggy. Appreciate that. That's very kind of you. No, I was not able to see a joining shackle. So I guess the local newspaper reported that a shackle was broken. Maybe that's the reason when we were out here early this morning, because we did come out early. Maybe that's why they weren't cutting in. Maybe they were making those repairs. But it's, from what we can see right here, the chains are tight on it. We're going to keep getting up here a little closer and try to see this thing. What's pretty neat when you come out here at this time of the day, the lights of the VB, because the VB has lights all over it. They begin to light up, and as the sun begins to go down, you really start to see the kind of the glow from the lighting system on the VB over the golden ray, and it's pretty impressive. Bill says it's one cool boat. I guess you're talking about the Mullet. I appreciate it. It serves probably the best utility boat I've ever owned is this Parker. It has a little bit of everything to offer. Big deck space. It's got a little bit of cabin in here for storage, and for the occasions that I have come out and stayed during the night on some lifts and some cut throughs, it's been comfortable enough to be able to stay out here on the boat and not have to worry about weather and that kind of thing. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, debris is constantly washing up. They're finding it, and they have. I talked with Unified Command, my contact over there today, and he told me if you guys haven't done it yet, there's a link in the description to the St.simons incident response website, and they've got some great videos out there. And they posted another one that really has to do with the SCAT teams. So those are the teams that are out recovering this debris. They're on the beaches. They'll be out in boats. They'll be on the beaches, walking the beaches, and they're doing a commendable job of what they're doing. But most of the time, the debris that they're getting is onshore, or it's washed up into a marsh or something like that. We don't know how much of that material is floating around in the water column, just waiting to get washed up against the shore, get the current to move it to a spot where it can be picked up. That part is kind of unfortunate, but it's just part of what we're dealing here with the cutting up of the golden ray into these 8 pieces, and then lifted up onto the barges. Hey, Christine. Yep, we're going to do our thing right here, and we certainly appreciate your involvement. We know you're avid and comment a lot, and we certainly appreciate hearing from you. Bill wants to know about I guess the spotting of the cars. They were picking up the claw, and I'm not privy to exactly how they do it, but I will tell you this: they have some pretty impressive electronic equipment that is utilized on the site. They have 2 boats that are equipped with some pretty sophisticated underwater sonar systems, and I'm sure that those guys if it's down there, they know where it is, and they've mapped it pretty well. How that translates from that information to the operator in the cab of that crane, I do not know. But if there's a system available, I'm sure it's being implemented. I don't understand the technology, but if it's there, they're utilizing it. The water we have here in coastal Georgia, because of our proximity, because of the estuary, the marsh system, and the amount of tidal change we have here, this water is not clear. You can't go to the beach here most days and go to your knees and see your feet. The water is tinted and it's dark, and you really can't see down into it. So the part of being able to visually see what's going on is not happening. And I can't imagine them having a diver directing operation down in the water with the lifting, and that piece is going back up. We saw that piece of deck that got loose. You wouldn't want to be the guy that was down on the bottom directing a recovery operation and have some of that slip away and then possibly land back down on top of you. So I'm sure they have some sort of system that does that. I just don't know what it is. It's a big mystery. What do the ship captains think when they sail by the Golden Ray? I tell you what they think. Glad that's not me. You know, accidents can happen. Problems arise. I think everybody understands that. Some are bigger than others. This is a pretty big one. And I think that every captain that comes by here knows that those situations can develop at any time. And yeah, I bet they're real thankful that that's not their ship that's over on its side in St. Simons Sound. You know, it's happened before. It'll probably happen again. And when it does, it makes a lot of news. But I'm sure that the captains that have happened to it will tell you, you know, at the time when it happened, they were doing everything they could do to prevent it from happening. And it's just sometimes it does. Well, hey, I appreciate. You know, I got so many people who are just avid watchers, and they'll comment and they'll let me know, hey, this is we rather watch your channel than watch television, and it's quite flattering. I've never considered myself to be that kind of guy to be able to put on a decent show or certainly be an on-air personality. I still don't think I am. What I have going for me is great subject matter with the Golden Ray, and a little bit of knowledge, and a lot of knowledge on the local area. So it all kind of blended in well for me to do this, and it's kind of turned into a little more than what I ever expected it to be. But I certainly appreciate everybody that comments and know from my heart that I thank you, and I really appreciate you guys watching, you guys taking your time to watch me. Hey Mick, yeah, hey from Michigan, hey, appreciate you. I see Anthony's on here, and he's a regular, and he's talking about the Kurt J. Crosby. It did make. I looked at it, Anthony. I looked at it today, and I guess the Kurt J. went all the way around to the sea buoy there at Morgan City, and I think they had another Crosby tug come out and maybe meet it there. But that, if y'all remember, we saw that tug, the Crosby J, Kurt J. Crosby, leaving out last Saturday morning. It's been almost a week, and they've made it all the way around Florida, into the Gulf of Mexico, and to their rendezvous point. And I guess they handed the barge off there, and hopefully they're coming back. Man, I love watching that Kurt J. Crosby work. That is an impressive piece of equipment. But yep, they went all the way. They went all the way, and they're so close to home. You know, those guys are based over there, so close to home, and then turn around and come right back. How much tidal movement, current, is there? On an average out here, on a normal day, when the tide is running at its strongest, which is about mid-tide, that's when it's running the strongest. It's probably about a 4-knot current out here. Four knots of water moving, and it's moving in and it's moving back out. Every day it does that, and it would be uncomfortable to try to swim against it. I don't think that you'd have to be a really strong swimmer to be able to swim against this current and make any headway. It really rips out of here. This whole estuary system that's out here comes back through, and it dumps right back into, it funnels right back into this sound area and back out into the ocean through the channel. The safety guys have just pulled up over here. I don't know if you guys might be able to see them in the background back there. They might not know I'm live right now. Was the captain given another ship? I don't know what happened to the South Korean captain that was on the ship. I don't have any information on what happened with the crew or where they are or what transpired from there. A hydrophone in here. Well, if they're hearing what I'm hearing out here, I don't want to hear it in the water. I'm sure it's pretty noisy. But we do see, I mean, we still see our dolphins and our other sea life. It's still moving around in the sound almost as if it's unaffected. So it can't be that it can't be that bad. I'm sure it's annoying to them, but they're still here. Can you explain how the chain cuts through the hull, and are there any teeth? No, it's just chain, and then how it cuts is just incredible pressure. There's just tremendous amount of pressure that's exerted on the chain and that movement. And to say it cuts, it's more like it rips and it tears. It's not a smooth cut. It's very jagged, and the way it works is simply by sheer force. I guess if you apply enough pressure to most anything, you'll get it to kind of go your way. And that's kind of what happens right there. Oh, I would love to get on one of those tugs. I think that would be awesome. But right now, it's something we might be able to work on in the future. Those guys are constantly on call, and I don't know about the feasibility of being on that thing should an incident arise and they had to go. Those tugs are here for a reason. If there's a problem out here, they've got to come right away. I don't want to be a hindrance. I do not want to be a hindrance to the operation at all. I want these guys to be able to do everything exactly the way they needed to get it done. But I just want to be able to bring it to you. I want to be able to see it and video it and bring it to you guys here on the channel. Yeah, there are freshwater rivers that do empty into the estuary system, and it does affect those rivers as well. It'll start backing up into those freshwater rivers that empty out. Most notably, if you're looking at a map of the state of Georgia, and we're right in the westernmost part of they call it the Georgia Bight. We're down in the westernmost part of that. If you look at the map of the eastern United States, and you look at the coastline and look for the westernmost part and put a pin in it, you'll darn near stick it right into the top of the Golden Rake. We're really far west, but the Altamaha River, just to the north of us here, freshwater river, comes from in the state. I guess the St. Mary's River south of us. The Satilla River is probably the closest. It's just a little bit south of us, but all those are freshwater rivers, and they dump from off the state and all that. That's freshwater, and it'll back that tidal influence will affect those freshwater rivers as well. An average tide here, the tide change is probably 7 feet. It could get higher than that on certain lunar. The moon affects the tides a great deal, and when you have the lunar cycle, for full moons and new moons, it'll increase the gravitational pull, and it increases the tidal influence in here. So we will have some higher tides, and then also wind affects it as well. If we get a strong wind out of the west, it helps push the water out. Strong wind out of the east a hurricane pushes the water back in and we have flooding. So I don't know, maybe get all these questions answered here. We've got 100 people that have joined the chat here today, looking, just kind of looking in and trying to see what's going on. And we're gonna circle back around. I got the safety boat right here, and I'm gonna get those guys are probably gonna pull up right here, and we'll try to get this thing kind of stopped right here just a minute. This is going to be a short live session right here. It's going to kind of serve as our daily report. We've got some more video that we'll try to get out a little later. But before we go, I'm going to try to give you guys a little shot of this. While we're here, I'm almost out of battery here on the phone, and that's my fault. But there's the VB over the Golden Ray right there, and we can hear that it's powered up right now. The chains are tight; they're actively cutting. We can see some of the environmental work that's taking place, and back over that way, you can see the handful of environmental boats that are still out here working. They're actively working the site. It's kind of late into the evening. I love you guys. Hey, thanks for joining us here tonight, and we hope you enjoyed a little visit out to the site here on the live side. And we're going to park here, and we'll look back at the Golden Ray one more time there with the VB 10,000 over it. And we know that they're cutting. They're active cutting right now. All right, you guys take care, and y'all stay safe out there.